Evoto, Retouch4me, Aperty, with so many companies claiming to have the best AI skin retouching software, it's a little hard to know which one is the best. So today I'm going to process a handful of images through each one of these to see which one is the best bang for your buck. This video is sponsored by Skillshare, and if you're trying to learn any task, whether it be video editing or studio photography or product lighting, it can be extremely time consuming to master any of these skills simply by watching a bunch of YouTube videos. And that's where Skillshare comes in. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives built by creatives. There are thousands of classes on everything from learning how to market your business on Amazon to understanding how to effectively use AI tools in your own business. I'm currently watching advanced video editing with Adobe Premiere Pro with Jordy Vandeput, and he's taught me a lot of great editing tips. How Skillshare works is you join their community and then you have access to all of their classes, no matter what specific skills or areas of focus you might be learning. If you're like me and you have dozens of interests or hobbies, the Skillshare platform makes it easy to learn from curated, highly qualified instructors, and Skillshare also has something called Learning Paths, which organizes specific classes in order of complexity so that you can go from being a complete beginner to a solid level of proficiency quickly and easily, no matter what skill you're interested in learning. With Skillshare, you also get a 7-day free trial and 30-day money-back guarantee. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive 20% off their first year of Skillshare. Get started today. So when it comes to software reviews, my videos tend to be a little long, so I hope that with this one, I can boil everything down, look at a few examples, check out some differences, and give you enough information on which one might be the best for you. You can find links to all three of the software options that we're going to talk about in the description below. Now, first off, I want to be really transparent. This video is not sponsored by any of these companies, but I have been personally using Retouch4me for about the last 2 to 3 years. After I do my initial cull, but before I do all the crazy Photoshop edits, I run every possible select that I have through Retouch4me to clean up any of the major skin retouching that needs to be done. It's just simply a part of my workflow at this stage. So with that disclaimer out of the way, let's jump right into it. Here I have 5 random images of mine where the models had slightly to fairly extreme skin issues, if that's fair to say. And I'm gonna run all 5 of these images through each of these 3 programs. Now let's first look at Aperty. Aperty is made by the guys over at Skylum, and I've used their other software like Neo quite a bit. I don't know if they would totally agree with this, but Skylum seems to build their software that's a little bit more intuitive to the person who's not a professional photographer. And what I mean by that is everything is slider based and they have their own standalone software, but you can plug it into Lightroom or Photoshop if you like to use those programs like I do. Now Aperty has a few key features. One of them is you can batch process different presets that you've made in their software. Everything is done locally, so you're not uploading to the cloud and you aren't dependent on the internet. And no matter if you subscribe yearly or buy the software outright, you can run as many images through their software as you want without any additional fees. Now, I'm not going to do a deep dive on all of these. I'm not going to show you all the features that they do. In fact, I'm really only concerned with skin retouching. I'm not going to start doing makeup and slimming the face and doing all the crazy stuff that some of these do. All I want to do is clean up acne and skin so that I can do all of the other edits that I might do before I deliver an image to the client. So I've already loaded my 5 images up here on the bottom. I don't know if you can see these on YouTube. Here on the right, we have a bunch of different settings that we can change, from skin blemishes to skin wrinkles, to changing the way the actual skin looks on the face. You can mess with the eyes, the mouth, we can do makeup. We can also start changing the skin on the body. For this, I'm just gonna open up skin blemishes. I've already made a preset where I have tried to balance all of my skin retouching settings from each software, so I'm not gonna go into detail of everything that I've done here. But this software does offer a lot of options to play around with, and you would find this very similar with the other software that we're gonna look at here in a minute. Now, once you set all of your settings that you might like, you can come up here to presets and hit plus, and then this will allow you to save that specific preset, which is pretty cool. I have made a preset called moderately heavy retouch. And again, this is going to be as consistent as I can get it between all 3 softwares. And I will warn you, I'm going to go a little heavier on this than I might normally, just so that you can see the effects on YouTube. But keep in mind, with all 3 of these softwares, we could pull this down. And so instead of having moderately heavy retouch, it might be something more like a subtle retouch. Now this image here is a great example of somebody who just has a lot of really strong acne at the time of the shoot. We didn't put any makeup on her to hide it. This is what she looks like naturally. And I've applied my moderately heavy retouch to this. And if I hit the before and after, you can see what it's done. It's made a significant improvement and really reduced the acne. Now, one thing I'm noticing is even with a moderately heavy retouch, we have not completely gotten rid of the acne. We have just dialed it down maybe 80%. And you can still see it. Now, if you want to keep the model looking natural and you don't want to get rid of everything, then maybe this is good. I kind of want to see this go 100% away so that we could then dial it back. But even at a high, heavy retouch, it's still there. So take that as you will. Here at the end of this video, I'm going to put all 5 of these images back to back to back. So if you just want to see the results of all this, definitely jump forward. But if I hit before and after here, you can see huge difference. The laugh lines definitely aren't as prevalent. It's removed some of the wrinkles in the eyelids. And then of course, it has also diminished her acne quite a bit. If I want to batch all of this skin retouching throughout the whole photo series, I come down here and click one image. I then click copy edits, and then I can highlight everything, and then I can paste all of those settings across the entire film strip. And then exporting, we just come up here and export. I'm not going to go through all that. I'm going to save all of these as JPEGs. So that's Aperty. Now let's look at Retouch4me. This software is probably the most simple of all 3 of them, and only recently have they added the slider-based interface called Apex. Years ago, Retouch4me did something fairly unique in that they sold each of the editing filters as a separate item, kind of a la carte style. So if you want to buy their software perpetually so that you can use it as many times as you want, no matter if you buy 1 retouching plugin or 10, you're going to have to buy them all individually. And as you can imagine, that's going to add up. All of these plugins do run locally on the computer, and in my opinion, I think their batch processing is the best because you don't have to open up anything. You can just point the software to a folder and it will batch through everything in that folder, save them, and then when you come back, all of your images are perfectly edited. Retouch4me does make a standalone program as well so that it will look and perform more like Evoto and Aperty. Their software is called Arums. But for me, I use it plugged into Photoshop, so that's how you're going to be seeing it in this video. There is this nice Retouch4me Photoshop panel, and this is great because you can just come in here and turn on and off each of the effects that you need. And I feel like this is good enough for the type of retouching that I do on a normal basis. Recently, Retouch4me started offering a cloud-based system. So everything here is on my device. I own these 4 plugins, and then I can use these on my device without having to upload to the cloud. And I can use it perpetually. But if I go to the cloud-based retouching, this now runs on a credit system, but I can use any of their tools simply by turning them on, even if I've never purchased these individually. 1 retouch is 1 credit, no matter if I use all of these or if I only use 1 of their plugins. Now, what I like about Retouch4me's business plan is they kind of give you the best of both worlds. You can buy the plugins outright and have perpetual use over them. You can be like me and run thousands of images through them on your local device, or you can switch over to the cloud-based retouching, buy single credits, and use any of their retouching plugins and simply pay only for the single images that you do retouch. They give you both options, which I kind of appreciate. I will say buying the individual plugins is pretty expensive, but once you buy them, you never have to buy them again, and you can run unlimited images through them. For this comparison video, I'm going to be using my 4 favorite plugins that I purchased. I'm going to use Heal, which is going to heal any of the skin blemishes. I'm going to use Dodge and Burn, which is going to fix any of the highlights and shadow gradients on her face. Portrait volumes, you don't necessarily need this, but it's basically going to burn features around her face, like maybe the shadows around her nose, her eyes, and the edge of her face to kind of give it more of a 3D look. And then Skin Tone, that is going to attempt to fix any skin color irregularities that you might have and make the skin look as uniform as possible. Again, I'm going to try to do all of the same sort of retouches with the other 2 softwares so that we're looking at something that's as close to apples as possible. But just like all the other software, we could turn on other retouching features like whitening teeth and cleaning up the eyes. I'm not going to do that for this video though. So I'm just going to hit retouch. And one thing that I do like about my workflow in Photoshop is once it runs through all of these batches, it's going to make 4 separate layers that I can then combine. I could bring down their opacity. I could put a mask on them and start tweaking them. I could flatten them. I could delete them. I could double them up and make them even stronger. There's just a lot that I can do with the layer method that you're not necessarily able to do with some of the other retouching software that just simply does the effect and that's it. So I can show you what I'm talking about. I'll put all 4 of these in a group. I can turn this on and off, and as you can see, this reduced the acne and her freckles quite a bit. This is way heavier handed than what we saw with Aperty, but if I zoom out, I think it looks still pretty natural. I mean, this doesn't look like fake plastic skin. The heavy lifting is going to be done by this heal layer. So you can see there, I can turn it on and off. Dodge and Burn is going to be doing some of the color that is also being repaired. I don't know that Skin Tone really did a lot of repairs here because the skin tone is already pretty flat. And then with Portrait Volumes, you can see here, it's darkening the shadows under the chin, and it's accentuating the shadows around her nose, her eyes, her eyebrows, and her lips. Just like we saw with Aperty, we can come up here to Retouching Presets, we can save this specific recipe, and then if I want to batch process, I just hit Batch Retouching. It just opens a folder, and then as long as I have images in that folder, I can hit Select Folder, and it will just start processing every image in there. So I find that really easy to use, and it doesn't require another piece of software, which I appreciate. Maybe I'm a little biased because I have been using this software, like I said, for 2 or 3 years now, but I don't know, it's just a simple way to batch that I really appreciate. So that's Retouch4me. Now let's open up Evoto. Evoto? Have I been saying it wrong throughout this video? I don't know, you tell me in the comments. I have never worked with this company before, personally. I would love to, so Evoto, if you're seeing this video, please reach out to me. But I have to say, just from what I see on social media, this software is the hottest new kid on the block, for sure. Everybody is talking about Evoto. Some of our F-Stoppers viewers, you might be familiar with my friend Joey Wright. He's a swimwear photographer out of Miami. He does a ton of skin retouching, and he's done everything from using all different sorts of software to even exporting his retouching to a professional retoucher. He now claims that Evoto can do 90% of all of it and do it better than anything he's used before. A little plug, we did do a full-blown photography tutorial with Joey, and he's an absolutely amazing photographer and instructor. And personally, I think he's one of the best photo directors I've ever worked with. So definitely check that out at fstoppers.com/store. It is the sexy swimwear tutorial. So if Joey has high praise for Evoto, well, I trust his opinion for sure. Now, as you can see here on the right side of Evoto's software, they have way more retouching and editing options than Retouch4me, and even more than Aperty. One thing that I've noticed using their software is that their edits show up incredibly fast. Let me go ahead and use my moderately heavy retouch with contouring preset that I built, and watch how fast this does this. I don't know if you'll be able to see this real well live, but if I turn on and off the freckles and acne slider, it is updating that almost in real time. There might be like a 1 or 2 second delay. With Aperty, it was taking it a good 10 seconds to apply the settings before I could see it. And look at this retouch. This is incredible. I mean, the acne is entirely gone. Let's look at the before and after. I mean, that is unbelievable. For this video, I did think about doing my own manual retouching because I know how to do all of this the old-fashioned way. And looking at this, I mean, this would have taken me a good long while, and that looks near perfect. Wow, unbelievable. Let's look at this image that I've shown you before. I mean, come on. That's pretty wild. Like, that looks really, really good. The way you batch process in Evoto is you just highlight everything in the film strip below, you come up to this little triangle, and if you've saved a preset like I have my own presets here, I can come down to moderately heavy with contour, and it's going to apply all of them on each one of these images. And then with all 5 selected, I can come up here to export and export them out just like I did in the other programs. Now, unlike Aperty and Retouch4me, Evoto is basically a standalone program. You can't tie this into Photoshop the way that I did with Retouch4me, but you can upload a Lightroom catalog. Now, I'm sure once you use all of these for a week or 2, you're gonna get used to all of the programs. But for me, as somebody who still relies on Photoshop for a lot of my editing, I do personally like the plugin option because it's just right there. I can do my retouching, and then I can jump in and do liquify or combine exposures, or whatever it is that I am used to doing in Photoshop. I like having it all in one place. But I can see the appeal of having a single standalone program, especially if you don't use a lot of Photoshop. But I would like to see a plugin eventually. So all these retouches in Evoto are incredible. They might be the best. It'll be interesting here in a minute to put them all side by side. But now it's time for the not so great news, and you knew that there was going to be a catch. Evoto is the only software of the three that requires that you buy credits for each one of your photo edits. You can't simply buy a perpetual license and use it on millions of images for a one-time price. If you buy the pay-as-you-go credits, you're gonna get each one of these retouches down to about 25 cents, maybe down to 13 cents per image, depending on how many credits you buy. But you can save 10 to 50% on these credits if you sign up for an annual subscription plan. To me, these annual subscription plans don't really have any major benefits, but you will be renewing every year because your credit card is now going to be on file. But as you can see here, you can get these down to 7 cents. I mean, you can even get 5 cents if you buy 24,000 credits for just 1,200 bucks. All right, so here's the part of the video you've probably been waiting for. Maybe you even skipped to get here. Let's now look at all 5 of these images up close as I toggle through all 3 edits through each one of these programs. I tried my best to adjust the retouching to a similar level across all 3 programs, and that level is what I call moderately high, so it is a little on the heavy-handed side. Some of these images might look a little more plasticky because I wanted to go a little harder than I might use on my commercial jobs, but all of these effects can be toned down as well. I would love to hear your opinions in the comments below, but to my eyes, Evoto clearly does the best job. All of these edits through Aperty look like they just reduce the shadows, almost as if you had a frequency separation layer and you just adjusted the low color layer and left the high frequency detail layer completely intact. I think for this example, I consistently find the Aperty retouch to be my least favorite. That said, Retouch4me still gives great results, and in some of these examples, the results might look a little more subtle and realistic than Evoto. Is that fair to say? I'm sure I could pull back the effect on Evoto images a little bit more and tweak it perfectly, but I also do know that sometimes with Retouch4me, I can't go as heavy-handed as I'd like without running all of the images through the whole batch process twice. All right, so what's my overall conclusion looking at all this? Aperty is pretty good, and the results you can get with a simple preset is definitely worth checking out this software and perhaps even buying it. It's definitely worth using if you have not used any retouching software ever in your workflow. It is a little slow and it is a little clunky. Honestly, that would bother me more than the actual results that it produces. I think the results are pretty good. So hopefully Skylum can continue to fix the responsiveness of this software. Retouch4me can be extremely expensive if you're like me and you buy all the plugins individually, but I can literally run entire photo shoots through their software at night while I sleep and know that I have a reliable skin retouch that never goes too far or produces any errors. So I do really appreciate that about the software that I'm currently using now. Evoto, however, is by far the most powerful software of the 3, and I really look forward to spending more time with it. I am a bit nervous at the cost, and I definitely won't be batching every single one of my selects through it. I'm probably just going to pick the absolute best images if I'm gonna have to pay 5 or 25 cents to get the retouch. I also do think I need to spend some time and use the Lightroom integration to see how I like using the Evoto software in conjunction with the Adobe suite that I'm already used to using. But there is no doubt that every company that is offering AI retouching software needs to step up their game because this is pretty good. So what do you guys think of these results? And I want to know what software you're personally using in the comments below. Thanks for Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and if you want to further help support F-Stoppers directly, head over to fstoppers.com/store where you can check out our own full-length photography tutorials on very specific niche genres of photography, such as headshots, macro photography, real estate and architecture, landscapes, and of course, Joey's swimwear photography course. And don't forget, each month F-Stoppers is running a photo contest where you can win some really cool prizes. This month's theme is outdoors, and so pretty much every photographer can enter. And the grand prize this month is pretty cool. It's a $900 studio strobe, the Godox AD600 Pro 2. Head over to fstoppers.com/contest to enter now, and I will see you guys really soon.